Stampers. This is Marie Bennett at blackberriesandcream.net. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and one of the things that I like to do with my hobby is participate in craft shows. And every Christmas in our community there's a craft show. One of the things that's always popular at craft shows around here are Christmas gift card holders. And I made this card for the Christmas gift card holder this year. It could be used as a Christmas card and a gift card holder. So this is what the front looks like. On the inside there are two pouches that I made using the mini treat bag thinlits. And in the first one is this little note card where you can write a note to whoever you're sending the gift card to. And then you just slip it back in this treat bag holder, which really functions as an envelope. And then the next one is where you put the gift card. And you just tuck it inside this little ribbon holder that I have attached to this card. So I'm going to show you how I make this gift card holder, and maybe you might be interested in making one too. So the first thing I'm going to do before we actually start making anything is tell you all of the materials you need for this. I used this stamp set for the front of the card, the train, the greeting, and the direction sign to the North Pole. And this is called Christmas Magic. And I also used two images out of this Twinkle Tree stamp set. I used the little heart splatter and the cup. And then I used this writing notes background stamp to make one of the tags. And this is a very large stamp. I don't need the whole stamp for this tag, but I can show you how I solved the problem of having your tag be way bigger than your paper. So those are the three stamp sets. I use a sponge dauber to make the greeting look smoky. I think this is supposed to be my version of a vintage looking card. But at any rate, so this smoke is all, or this train is all covered in smoke. And I used this black ombre stamp pad. And I also used the Archival Black and Archival Basic Gray stamp pads and Cherry Cobbler and Garden Green. Okay, so those are the inks we need. The card base itself is a piece of Cherry Cobbler cardstock that is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. And then down the center, which would be at 5 1/2, I scored it. And then I scored it 1/8 inch on either side of the center score line. And that gives the card some depth, so that when everything is inside, it has a little bit of a spine to it. And we need a piece of Very Vanilla that is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. One piece of Very Vanilla that is cut at 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. 2 1/2 by 3 1/2 piece of Very Vanilla. And two pieces that are cut at 2 1/2 by, I'm going to make sure I got it right, 2 1/2 by 4. 2 1/2 by 4. Then for the hinge that holds the two envelopes on the inside of the card, we need a piece of Very Vanilla that is 2 by 3 3/4, just short of the 4-inch width of the bags. So 2 by 3 3/4. And for the inside of the card, 2 pieces of designer series paper, and this came out of the pack in the general catalog called This Christmas, and these are cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And for making the envelopes, you need 1 piece of designer series paper that's cut at 6 by 6 and another one that's cut at 3 by 6. And you need 1 of those for each of the 2 envelopes. Okay, and for the tag I used this little gingerbread man out of the package of embellishments called Christmas Trinkets. So let's go ahead and get started with this card. To cut out the mini treat bags, I like to use the magnetic platform, and then you put your first layer on, and for the larger piece of the mini treat bag, I want this design going up and down. So I'm going to be sure that this part of my die is at the top of the bag, and 6 by 6 is just big enough for this. There's almost no waste, and I really like this magnetic platform for this because you can get it in position and it stays put. Alright, then I'm just going to crank that through. And then what I need to remember when I cut out the next piece of this treat bag is that the fringed edge also has to go up and down on the print. And this 3 by 6 inch piece is just big enough also. I want to be sure I get it going straight up and down. Okay. Crank this one through. Alright, and now I have one bag cut out. I'm going to cut out the other bag and I'll be right back. Okay, so it's a very simple process to cut these bags out on the Big Shot, and you can see that not only does this thinlet cut, but it also scores. It puts on scoring lines where you are going to fold to put the bag together. So I like to go before I start putting on any adhesive, I like to fold. That way I can be sure I get my adhesive on the right part of the bag. Okay, so I have both bags folded, and now I'm going to put the adhesive on. And it's always a challenge for me. I put some on this flap right here first on both bags, and I'm using tear and tape. And for this flap, I want the adhesive to be on the inside, on the bigger piece. All right. Now the Oops, I need some right here too. I think that's over. Yes, I want to put it right here. Okay, so let's start with the green and white bag first. Now this score line needs to be right there on that edge. Maybe I'll do it this way. Cool. Then you just take this off. And take this off. And voila, your bag is done. So both of our treat bags are finished. And for the inside of the card, these both go on a hinge. And that hinge is made with this piece of paper that is cut at 2 by 4, scored down the middle at 1 inch, and then at a quarter of an inch from that score line you score again, so that you're going to be making a Z-fold, folding back on it. So when we're finished folding this, the center fold is the mountain, and then on either side a valley. And I'm going to give this this whole thing a good crease with my bone folder. Alright, now to create this hinge I need to use tear tape, and I'm going to put a strip of tear tape on both sides of this center fold. And then I'm going to put more on these flaps, because these flaps attach to the front and the back of the inside of the card. Okay, so pretty much the whole bottom of this hinge is covered in tear tape. So to create the hinge, I take these first 2 strips off, the 2 in the middle, and then squeeze that together. Alright, so there's our hinge. So what I want to do, I believe, is attach these mini treat bags to the hinge before I put it in the card. And I'm going to use tear tape for that too. And I don't want this coming apart, so I put a strip all the way across and on both sides. And then I'm going to put a strip on the back, you know, where this little flap goes up, of both bags. And then down the center I want another piece here, because I'm going to attach the 2 bags together, stick them together. Alright. Did I do that right? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's put, I want to have this one be the front, the first page. So I'm going to take this, the backing off of this tear tape, and put it on the card or the bag straight as I can. Okay, then I take the tape off of the other bag and the hinge and do the same thing. Put it on there as straight as I can. Then I'm going to pull the back off of this and stick those two bags together. Now when they go in the card, you'll look at it like this and like that. Alright, so the mini treat bags are ready. Now we're going to start working on the card itself. The first thing I need to do with this card is fold it on this center score line. And if the edges are all even, then you know you got the center score line. And give it a crease with the bone folder. And then I'm going to move over to the next score line. So it's going to be off just a 1/8 of an inch. Could even be a 1/16. It's pretty little. And then back it off the other side about the same, 1/16 of an inch. Should get you right on your score line. There, we got it. Now we have our hinge on the back of the, or I'm sorry, our spine on the back of the card. That gives us the room to put the hinge in place. So that is the next step. Now I have put tear tape on the back of this hinge, and so I just pull it off of one side, and this is going to be the front, so this is the front of the card, and I just want to line that up really good. Whoops. Yeah. I didn't get it quite centered in this space, but I think it's going to be fine. But that's something you might want to try to pay attention to when you're putting this in, is getting it centered in the card. Okay. There we go. There's our spine. Now to finish off the inside of the card, what I need to do is take these two pieces of Designer Series paper that I cut at 4 by 5 1/4 and adhere them. I'm going to use Fast Fuse for this. Okay, then I'll do the same thing with the other piece. I'll be right back. The basic construction is done. The next thing we have to do is create the front of the card and the tags to put in the two treat bags. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a break. So check back next time for the conclusion of this card.